Hey everybody, welcome to the community call for this week, all around the D-Work bounties that we're putting out. There's been quite a bit of interest in the community for people actually coming in and performing these different bounties. It's been exciting to see. I think we have 5 or 6 that are already going through, thanks to some of the great community members that we have. Um, I am excited to kind of learn a little bit more about everything that's happening there. So it'll be great to get that overview from, is it Rathers? Yeah,
Yep.
from D-Work. So yeah, just a quick kickoff with a couple updates from DeSci Labs. We've had quite a few different pushes from the product side over the past week or two. I think the one-click wallet integration flow is now up and running um, on the actual alpha product. So that one's really exciting. I got the chance to go through and try it earlier this morning, and it worked flawlessly. I think there wasn't a single click out of place. So shout out to you, Sina. Then we've had a couple different talks that folks have been on throughout the week, which will be linked down below in the YouTube comments section or in the description of the video. So was fantastic to get the podcast for crypto altruism out, and I'm excited to see where some of the new initiatives in the community go. One of which being the promotions channel. So to anyone who's looking to get more involved in DeSci Labs, we're definitely starting to look towards more PR and outwards facing initiatives. So there is now a promotions channel in the general category of the Discord itself. Please feel free to go comment, to play around, and to help us come up with ideas of how we can spread the word about this amazing project. With that being said, I don't know if anyone else has updates that we want to give for this week.
Should we go over the quick bounty board, how we have it set up, and then because I think Raiders is going to walk us through sort of a demo on how to use this stuff, because I know a lot of people in the community might not be crypto native, so this will be very useful to a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to share your screen and just quickly walk us through it?
I can't share at the moment, but I can describe it pretty simply, because it is we tried to keep it a very simple setup. There are 3 community boards, and you'll see this in the walkthrough. Or 3 bounty boards, sorry. One is community, and that's largely for people who are already active in the community. And those are going to be dollar denominated bounties, where if you complete them, you'll get a little bit of cash. Some of them are actually a lot of bit of cash, like $100. I think the highest one is a couple $100 for doing a journal presentation. So if you want access to those, the easiest way is to become active in the community, contribute in any way you can. But if you want to go the bounty route to get access to that board, we also set up the task points bounty board. And that is the board where you can go and just complete small tasks that help us out. You won't get USD for those. You'll get what are called task points, and I'll let Raiders describe that a little more. But essentially, you get enough task points, and you will become what we call LabTech, which is the role you need to have access to those higher USD denominated bounties. And then the third board, people who have access to it know about it. You don't need to worry about it if you don't have access to it. But it's essentially for alpha testers to help with bug reports and whatnot. And we are going to try and keep this stuff updated with simple bounty tasks for the task point board, and also more complex tasks and asks as we think of them for the community board. So if you do want to check back fairly often, and to what Eric was just saying, some promotional stuff is definitely up there. Like if you want to help make tweets or any other sort of type of promotion, we do have a little bit of cash we want to use to help people do that if that's what they want to do to help out DeSci Labs. So that's the basic setup for the board. If you have any ideas on how to make it better, we're very open to it. And when it comes to getting payouts from it, you are going to need a crypto wallet. We will, we're more than happy to help you set that up if you need. Just got to reach out here on Discord. So that's a quick run through. If there's no other updates, then I think we toss it off to Raiders. All right, cool. Go for it, Raiders. It's great to have you.
Yeah, glad to be here. Thanks everyone for your time today. John, while you were speaking, I just pulled up my screen share, so kind of showcase a little bit of what you were covering by showcasing the DeSci Labs board. And since I guess you mentioned crypto wallet and the kind of usage, I guess there's two steps to starting off with DWork. So first off is creating your profile and engaging with the platform. So with the wallet that the team would help you make, you could come in and you could click connect. You could use your Discord profile already and just click on Discord and authorize it and you're set. And then you can add in the wallet afterwards. But if you were to have a wallet and starting off with that, you could also just click, say, MetaMask, for example, and using the browser extension, it'll ask for a signature request, DWork sign in. And once you click sign in, and go ahead, it'll ask you for a little onboarding over here. So let's call this Delilah test. You can even import from Discord. So if you wanted to use Discord as well, you can engage with that. For this one, I don't have a separate Discord, so I'll just go ahead and continue, but you could use that. And then you go ahead, again, it'll just prompt you to connect to Discord. You can add in skills that you're interested in. So that way you can see when you're following the DeSci Labs, you can see tasks that are relevant for you. So for example, design or writing, or say community, and then you can click next. And then you can go ahead and start setting up your profile further if you like, or exploring tasks and bounties. So at this point, what you'd want to be doing is you'd want to search for DeSci Labs. And when you click in, you can click follow so that you're following it and you're able to get updates on your own task feed directly in DWork. So if you go to your home and then you go to your task feed, you'll see it gets updated with all the tasks that match the skills that you have. So if it is we said community, design, and something else. So these are all the tasks that you'll see over here that match your needs. So it's a great way without having to go directly to the board. You can find all the ones that are relevant for you in your own task feed. But beyond that, and I'll just quickly log back into my test account as a contributor. Just give me 1 second over here. Switch back over and hit connect. And this time we should be logged into a full-fledged contributor account called Delilah. And again, going over to DeSci Labs, you can see all of the elements that John was speaking about earlier as to how and where you can contribute. Now, the neat thing is that this is also, the team have already gone ahead and integrated it with your Discord. So if I click over here to the Discord, I have an example demo server, which has some of that integration example over here. So you'll already have this Bounty Board channel in your Discord, and you'll see similar kinds of updates being pushed out where you can actually just one click directly jump into that task and get more information about it. So that's what we're here to do, is to also kind of showcase and look at how would you as a contributor start engaging with these tasks. So let's maybe look at the first one, which is write a Twitter thread about a journal club, including screenshots of Node. And you see that it includes the reward over there. So you can just click apply or claim. It'll say it's going to redirect you to DWork. You can also click trust this domain, and it'll automatically open up DWork directly to the task that you have to engage with. So over here, we can read the task very quickly. You'll see that it says write a Twitter thread about a journal club, including screenshots of Node. And you also see that this is open to applications, but specifically the moderator role. So if you don't have this role, it will show as reserved for moderator, reserved for role moderator. And so then you can actually apply for that role. And once you have the role, you can come in and you can apply for the task itself. So very quickly, in this case, we're talking about identifying journals, and then writing a Twitter thread about it. So in this case, we'd go ahead and make an application. And we can mention that to go back very quickly. It just mentions there are a couple of tasks, a couple of prerequisites required. So it needs to have, tagged the person and have a screenshot or GIF of a node included as well. So let's assume I've gone ahead and I've done the work and I want to apply and say that I've done this. So I can just mention when I did it. For example, I'm doing it tomorrow, or I've already done it and it's tomorrow, and link to the tweet thread, and I just put that in, I put in the link. I leave request for funding turned off. And so then this basically will have the, how do you say it? The content that's required. And if I can very quickly paste that in. So then we have this as the task that's completed or the submission that's being sent in, and you can plug it in. I'm interested. So what that will do is it will mark as requested on your side, and you can track that on your own task board, and it'll show up on the task that you applied to this task. Now, for the management side, and I'll just switch over to a different tab right now, you'll actually get that update on the task itself. So the team will actually see that application come in, and they'll be able to see the link and click through and read the thread that you shared. And that way they can decide to see if they want to reward you for this task that's been done. So anything, John or a team that you'd like to add on the approach for this task? Or should I move ahead with assigning and making the reward, etc.?
No, just move ahead. Go for it.
Awesome. Cool. So one more thing that can be done is also have a discussion on the application. So this actually would be triggered in the Discord as well. So if they want to discuss more about the Twitter thread or they had any feedback, they could click that, and that would open up the Discord on web. And that would basically have a direct chat between the person who submitted the task in this case and the person who created the task. And so they can choose to use this as a way of giving feedback or, just saying, good job or whatever it might be. And so then that will be clearly defined. Now, this is privately between the individual and the contributor and the manager. However, you can also have a more public conversation if we go back to that. And instead, we click on discuss at the main task level. This instead will open up the thread that's attached to this task in Discord. And again, I'll let that load very quickly. And you'll see now this thread is actually on the bounty board, which is visible to everyone. So in case you want to publicize this or tag everyone to share it or whatever it might be, you can also have this public conversation about the task as well. You as the managers also as well are getting tagged every time there's an application. So that way it's helpful for them to keep track and accept multiple submissions if needed. So coming back to the task, in this case, since it's an application that's gated, it would be a slight bit of work just to get the reward set in. In this case, you go ahead, couple of ways of doing it, but I'm assuming this might be the way. And John, correct me if I'm wrong. This is your plan is different, but you can go ahead and assign the person. And in this case, are you choosing to approve just one at a time and then duplicating the task again to receive more submissions?
Sorry, forgot I was muted. For now, yeah, that's the plan. And then in the future, as we get a better feel for how many people want to help with this sort of stuff, we might transition to a multiple submissions.
Got it. Okay, cool. So in this case, I'll just go ahead and do that. So we have just this one, and that'll automatically set the task up. You've got the application ready, and you can go ahead then and mark it as done. And the application is covered here as well. So the link, etc., is available as part of the task. So now that it's marked as done, the payment can be made to the contributor. And on your side as a contributor, you'll be able to see that updated on your side as well. So you'll see that it's pending payment and that the task has been marked as done. You'll also get updates in your own inbox on DWork as well that that you've been assigned because your application was accepted and that it's ready for review for them. So that's happening as well in Discord. So if I take a quick pause from DWork and come back over to Discord, you're also getting the updates that you've been added as a contributor. It's tagging Rathers, that's me as the manager, and it's also tagging the contributor when the task is assigned, and finally gets updated because the task has been marked as complete. So even in Discord, the visibility of the progress is there, and that helps so that you as a contributor can keep track of how the task is actually moving ahead without necessarily having to look at the work or your inbox. Just quickly pausing there to check if any questions. So that's kind of an application flow. Next, we look at multiple submissions. So just checking in any updates or questions as of now.
This is great. For anyone who is going to be doing this, keep in mind that a lot of the work is actually just going to be in the discussion in the chat we have. So we'll put up the bounty, you go and you say you want to do it, and then we're just going to talk on Discord, like the chats that Raiders is pointing out right here. Because for most of you going for, especially if you're a LabTech, like going for the USD bounties, we're already going to know who you are, and we're just going to check in and tell you specifics maybe that aren't posted on the bounty. For the task point stuff, it will be different because those might be more random people sort of coming in who aren't necessarily in the community. They might be bounty hunters, but for most people going for the USD stuff, we'll already trust you a lot.
And just to add a little bit onto that, I think currently the way that we have task points set up is, I believe it's 100 is the level to actually get someone into LabTech. And most of the different bounties are either 1 to 5, depending on the level of difficulty. So it's something where over the course of probably a week of coming in and looking at different task point bounties and helping to move forward with those, you can easily make it to the LabTech role. And we're happy to help different people come in and actually try to work on some of those task point bounties. And then for anyone who is an active contributor, but may not necessarily be a Web3 native, you can work on these tasks if you don't have a wallet. There is the Discord integration that Rathers was pointing out earlier, and it just helps us track a lot of the information so that if there is a point down the road where you do want to set up a wallet, we can kind of back pay for a lot of the work that's been done.
Yep. I think that covers it really well. Next up actually was going to be an example of a task points task. So why don't we go ahead and look at that? Sound good?
Perfect.
Awesome. I do see Philip is messaging in the chat. So maybe I'll just wait a second to see if that comes through.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I can't really see the screen share. I'm wondering if anybody else has this problem as well. I already tried logging back out and in again.
Yeah, I think it's because of the AV system that Eric and Raiders have set up off camera so they can record the video, because I think they're using a different...
Well, are you hitting the watch stream? There's a watch stream button.
Yep. That doesn't do anything. It just says, you've been disconnected. Sit tight.
Yeah, that's weird.
Okay.
It's the same thing for
That
me.
should work. Let me reshare my screen, actually, in that case. We'll go through all the steps again for the other tasks, so just give me 1 second. I'll just stop my screen share.
I do have screen share working on my side, and I am recording the video as well, so hopefully that's helpful.
Good.
Sure.
Yeah,
I just tried one last time.
Yeah, I have the
So
little
hopefully
yellow...
it's working this time.
I have the little yellow warning up at the top right that's like network error sort of thing. It's like bad issue, but it is working this time. So
But it's not working for me, but it's fine. I'm just gonna shut up now. Thanks, guys.
Sorry for the trouble there, but yeah, hopefully the recording works out fine. And yeah, in this case, we'll talk through how the engagement works for a multiple submissions task in the case where it's also points based. So we have this task over here, which is find a research paper that would make a great DeSci node. It's got a couple of prerequisites. So you'd probably want to be following this when you're doing the actual submission. I'll be keeping it pretty basic as part of the demo. But yeah, so I'm again on the contributor account over here as Delilah, and I've clicked onto the task, and you'll see that because it's multiple submissions, it's open to submissions over here. You can directly see a submit work button. So it's easy enough for you to just click that and then start adding in the content that you'd like. So in this case, the name of the journal and any details that you'd like to include or that's required as part of the prerequisites. So once you click submit, that will actually show up on your side for you to actually be able to edit in case you have any additional content you'd like to add as well. But then additionally, you'll see that show up in the the manager will see that show up on their side and they will be tagged for it as well. So on the manager side, they will see that submission come through, so they'll be able to review it, and they'll also be getting tagged in the thread on the Bounty Board channel. So on the Bounty Board channel, you see now is a new thread. So that would have been created, and they as a manager would be getting tagged, and they'll see as a new submission. So again, they can one-click access it on DWork just by clicking through. And then when that loads, you'll see that it's got the submission for them to approve. So let me just put one more, and let's assume this is from a different person, just for the sake of the demo. Let's put another one. This is new name of journal, and some details, and submit. So the difference here is that they will see multiple submissions, but you on your side as a contributor will just see yours. So that's helpful to avoid people copying and just making sure that there's that the direct submissions are coming through fine. And so they can go ahead then and approve them if it's meeting the requirements that's needed. And in this case, they likely approve more than one because they're rewarding in task points. So when that happens, the task will show up as approved. If I go back over to the contributor side, Delilah, you'll see now it shows up as approved. And you'll see that the task, there's a subtask that's created, which includes the task points. In this case, it was 5 task points over here. And 5 task points are assigned now to Delilah. So the same will happen when I do that approval for the second submission. Approve that, again, it gets approved. And you'll see a new subtask gets created with 5 task points being assigned to raters. So now, very quick, I guess the question is, what is a task point? What's the value of the task point? I think that was briefly explained in the sense of why it's valuable here at DeSci Labs, is that as you add up your task points and you reach that mark of 100, you're able then to come in as a LabTech. And so that kind of helps with the availability of tasks you then have access to beyond just the ones that have task points, but also the ones that have USD value. And now how is that tracked? So that actually will be tracked here on the leaderboards page of the DAO. And so if you go over here, you'll see now those 2 sets of task points have been distributed, and they are available now on this leaderboard for Delilah and Rathers 5 each. It also tracks in other things like tasks that are completed and tasks that are earned. And so that's something that they'll keep tracking of as well. But you as a contributor can also kind of see your standing amongst the community. So that's available for both you as contributors as well, right? If I go back over to that task, you'll see that it was accepted. And so you've got the task points, and you'll see that also on the leaderboard. If you click in, you'll see that it's gone ahead and visible as task points over there. Just go back over, and we move on to the next one. Actually, I'll take a quick pause. Any questions on the multiple submissions format? I just did a quick refresh, and you'll see the subtasks are there as well.
I guess just one comment with respect to that. For a lot of the people who've been coming in from DWork, more the bounty hunter thing with respect to task points, it generally is someone coming in saying, hey, I'd like to work on this. Can you approve me and give me task points? And I just kind of want to clarify the workflow there to say that we would love for people to come in and submit journals, submit specific papers with, I guess, this task as an example. Once you've submitted the paper, we'll be happy to go and approve, give feedback, whatever the next steps are. But just want to make it very clear that we're not approving tasks and giving out task points until the work has actually been done.
Yep, that's great. Very important to cover that as well. Anything else to add with the format, or otherwise good to move on to the last task?
Go for it.
Awesome. So I think this is more at a slightly future state. Once you've gotten comfortable with the format and you want to maybe open up some of the USDC bounties as well to submissions, that can help, for example, with the Twitter thread type tasks, where again you're engaging with them, engaging with multiple kinds of contributors who are writing about the content of, in this case, a call that's happening. So we go ahead and click submit work again. And in this case, it would be the link to the Twitter thread. And you can just like add the hyperlink as well as needed. If that was a link itself, or just clicking in and hitting Control K and pasting in the link there as well. So that's the way you can add in hyperlinks to text and hit submit. So this would be, again, a submission from your side as the contributor. And again, on the management side, they'd actually see that come through and again, be able to vet that, maybe reach out and give some feedback if needed, either via comments or, as mentioned earlier, on the Discord itself directly. And then once the due diligence is done on the work or anything else, any updates are done, they can go ahead and approve that. And the only difference here, again, I'll just select more than one. The only major difference here is that with this format, where there's an actual bounty being paid out, you'll see it does copy the name, it does copy the bounty, and it assigns it to the person who is approved. In this case, there will be a task that shows up under the done column, where it will actually require the payment to be made, and this will then again accordingly show up for you as a contributor as well. So I'll just quickly refresh as a contributor, and you'll see now that the subtask is specifically shown up in the done column, and you'll see that it includes the submission, and you can even click back to the parent task where the submission was originally made. You'll always be able to find what was the work that was actually expected, and then clicking into the subtask, you can see what has actually been done, marked as done, and then ready for payment. So this will cover the approach for, eventually when you'd want to open up some USD tasks for multiple submissions, which might help with, adding more contributors to the ecosystem at the time that you're comfortable with. Yeah, so that's it from a contributor task lens. There's another quick note that I can make, which should help like the community as a whole. Would that be okay if I add on to this part of the demo, or just first check with any questions?
Yeah, can I ask a question really quick?
Sure.
Before you go.
Go for it.
When we assign someone a task, it moves to the in progress column, correct?
If you're assigning a task, that is correct. So if I go over and just create
or not even just assign, when an application's accepted or when it's assigned, like when it's being done, once we're like, yeah, go for it. It moves to in progress.
Yes, once you've assigned someone to a task after they've applied, then it will move to in progress automatically. If you directly assign someone, you can also move the task forward as well. If you drag the task, if you move the task yourself without assigning someone, it'll actually assign it to you. So that's also a quick way of just claiming a task and moving it ahead. But that's only if you're like a manager. If you're a contributor, you can't move tasks that you're not assigned to. It will that won't let you do that.
Okay, and then once the person who is given the task completes the task, did they slide their own card from in progress to in review?
Yeah. Why don't we take that example quickly? Let me go ahead and showcase that as part of the demo. So I'll just quickly pick this one called Host a Journal Club. In this case, it was gated for alpha tester and member. I'll go ahead and just quickly add one more. We also have, while we do have Discord roles syncing, by the way, we've also recently added native dwork roles. So it's also helpful to not necessarily have to crowd up your Discord server with multiple roles. You can also add new roles and have different contributor levels. Contributor levels as an example, or LabTech levels, or things like that. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and make contributor level 3 and add Delilah to it and hit OK. And then let that get auto-selected and hit save. So that next time when I come back as Delilah and I refresh this task, I'll see that I now have the permission to go ahead and directly claim it. So it's a little faster than having to go to Discord, create a new role, get the people assigned to it, and then coming back to dwork and managing that. So just a quick note over there. And yeah, so when they go ahead and apply, that will follow the standard process. I'll just go ahead and keep it blank for the sake of speed. And once the application is done, you'll be able to come in and see that application on your side, on the task itself. And once you see that, you'll be able to assign the person. And if you pick just this one, Just a quick network glitch there. Just wait for it to load. Yeah, there we go. Once you see the application come in, you've done your diligence on approving them. You can go ahead and assign them. And when you do that, it will ask if you want to do approve more or just this one. Sorry about this. Seems like a slight network issue on my side. Should show up in a second. As they say, as you're doing the demo, it happens. Anyway, so I'll do just this one, and you'll see now that, okay, yeah, you'll see now that it updates to moving the task into progress, assigning it to Delilah, and even updating the due date to match what was mentioned. So it mentioned 30th August as the application, so it updates that. And then on your side as the contributor, you'll be able to now move this task, you submit the work, and then move it into review. So say you've done the work, you're pasting in some link or some reference or some content that proves you've done it, then you can move it into review. You as a contributor can't move it to done because it has to get approved first time. And that's where, again, like the sync up with Discord is happening throughout. So over here on the bounty board, you'll see that there's a new thread that's been created all along tracking that the new submission has come in, and it helps you give the updates. It helps you get the updates as a manager as well as the contributor of what's happening on the task. So up to the point of it being marked as ready to review. And then John, you or anyone on the team can just click in, land on the task, and approve it. And then that will move it over to done automatically. So you can come in, see that, even give feedback back in that channel like we just mentioned. You can give feedback for the submission and have them change things, update it if needed as well. And then finally, you can choose to approve it once it's ready. And in this case, you'll actually approve just this one. And that will move it over to done automatically, and you'll be able to pay it out to the contributor. And this is again visible to the contributor themselves on their side. If I refresh quickly, you'll see that the task has moved over to done, and it's also tracked on the bounty board itself that it's set up for completion.
All right, great. So for anyone who's contributing to a bounty, a lot of the benefit of this software is that it takes the time. Like we can work asynchronously, and when you're done with something, just move it to in review. We'll get notified. We'll look at it, and if we think it needs more work, we'll just tell you it needs a little more work. Send it back to in progress. You don't need to continuously like match up time zones and stuff. It's actually really nice once you get using it.
Awesome. Any other questions on format or roles?
I think we're good.
Okay, great. I guess the last thing I was going to mention, which is, as I said, an overall helpful note or suggestion, is probably using the roles feature that's available on the tool. So this is a great way to actually broadcast the different roles you have in your Discord or roles that you have even now on DWork itself and how people can apply for them. So for example, what you mentioned of getting 200 task points gets you this role. That's something that you can go ahead and do. For example, if I take a look at DiaDAO, they've gone ahead and they've put up some of their roles. In this case, they are Discord roles. It could also be native DWork roles. And you can mention things in the description that says things like, reach 100 task points, and then this is what role you will get, going. And in this case, you could link this button to anything you like. And with the one where you're trying to get them to LabTech and 100 task points, you could link them to the task bounties board or something else here on DWork directly where you want them to engage. And then other roles like alpha tester or what have you can be more specific for an application process, maybe an onboarding process or something that you might have. So just a quick note that this is helpful for making it easy for your community to understand what roles are available, but also to people outside your community who are coming in and knowing that a lot of tasks are gated by roles. They know how to get the roles. so they can click the link, get involved in the process, get involved in your community, and start engaging as well. So just a helpful note there. Any questions on that?
No, that's great. That's a great update. Congrats on rolling that out.
Awesome. I guess one thing that's still kind of we're piloting and we are engaging with different kinds of organizations. I'll just quickly mention it's called Retroactive Bounties, because you mentioned earlier that you may be situations where you're having people work on things, or people are engaging, and you want to pay them back, or you want to have them rewarded after the fact. So we're launching a feature like that called Retroactive Bounties, where within a certain period of time, you can actually have all those tasks displayed in a list, and then people can actually, say, but with a kind of a point system, how valuable were those tasks when they were done by the individuals. So that way you can actually have a sense of the community and the managers who have the ability to add the points as well, to see which tasks were valuable, and therefore how much of maybe a reward pool or some kind of retroactive reward pool that you would like to distribute amongst those those tasks. You can do that as well.
Cool. We will definitely be looking into that.
Yeah, that's something you could quickly, for example, you could check. It's currently being piloted, but if you'd like to look into it more, you could actually see it under permissions and see under manage retroactive bounties. So if you add in the right permissions, you should be able to see that. Maybe you can test it out as well. And if you have any feedback on that, let us know. Or maybe at the relevant time, we can do a separate demo for that.
All right. Cool.
Yep. So that's about it from my side. Happy to take any more questions, or if there's any specific features that you'd like to cover apart from this, happy to run through that as well.
I'm good on my end. Eric, anyone else? Do you all have any questions about DWork, ideas, or anything you want to see?
Oh, this was fantastic from my end. I think it was a great overview of everything that we're going for.
Awesome. I guess one last simple thing to mention is that for people who are following on their task feed, they could equally come into the DeSci Labs page. I'll just switch over to that right now. Land directly on the organization. And without having to necessarily go into the spaces, they could also use open tasks to filter by different kinds of skills or different kinds of bounties, whether they are recent or they're highest, and then directly start contributing just by clicking in and start engaging, or at least finding out which roles are there and accordingly getting the roles. That's another quick note of if you have a task, I'll very quickly showcase that as well. If you have a task that's gated by a role and you want for them to be able to get that role, you could actually, let me just try to find one that has a gating over here. Yeah, here. So if you have the roles page set up, it'll actually help your community get that role by clicking get role, and it takes them directly to that role and they can start the application process. So yeah, just a quick note that it'll make it easy as well for people to see what tasks are there using the open task board, the open tasks on the main overview page. But at the same time, they can find out what roles they should be getting so that they can contribute with the tasks that they want. And on the contributor side, if you're interested in a task and it's gated, you could always come back to it later by clicking bookmark. So if you just click bookmark over there, the task will be bookmarked, and then you can even click see my bookmarks, and that'll show up all the tasks you've bookmarked for that, so that you can come in and then start engaging after you've got the role that's needed. So a quick handy tip over there.
Cool. Tony has some questions on how the payment system works. So wondering how the payment system works in general. I'll answer that really quick because I think it's different for every organization. But we work with batch payments. So once we don't have a full sort of schedule or routine settled yet because we're fairly new to this, but we imagine either like every Monday or every Friday we'll go through and send out a batch payment for any completed bounties. But with regards to whether or not the bounties are already deposited to the DWork system for a particular task or after the task is sent, Raiders, can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, so it's actually the latter, wherein if I, for example, go here and I showcase the different payments that are ready to be made, you'll see that the team is be able to batch pay them to all the individuals that are there. And so they would batch pay, they would already have their payment method set up, and they would trigger the payment to the relevant system. I think in your case, John, if I'm not mistaken, you're using a Gnosis Safe or
Yep.
am I misremembering? Okay, yeah. So it would be triggered to the Gnosis Safe, and then the payment would be signed off by the signers on the Gnosis Safe, and that would then show up on the task itself.
So it is
Hopefully
interesting though, because it is a blockchain. We have a separate address for the bounties, so you can just go onto the Ethereum blockchain and get that address, and like that's very similar to having them deposited into DWork at the same time. Is hey, immutable ledger, transparency.
Exactly. So if I were to quickly jump over to another demo organization, I can showcase here that I think we have a couple of completed tasks. We have a couple, yeah, here they're completed. So you'll see, oh, sorry, I'll go to one that's paid out. And let's see. Okay, it looks like these might have been rejected. But yeah, on my side, what you would see, or rather on your side, what you would see is the task have a new section called reward payment, where it'll actually show the task payment completed in that case. And you can actually click and view the transaction on the Explorer, on the blockchain Explorer as well. So this will actually show on the blockchain that the payment to your, I think, new question, follow-up question, Tony, that the payment's actually been made and it'll actually show up in the address as well. So this is where by just seeing that it's completed and seeing that the reward payment has been made, you can view on the blockchain that it actually indeed has been sent to the wallet address.
Yeah, Tony, I think your questions circle around the concept of trust in bounty systems and how it's very difficult to ensure these things actually happen. But from our perspective, we don't have any. We're basically incentivized to, when we put up a bounty and say we're going to pay for it and someone completes it, we're incentivized to actually pay out for the completion of the bounty. Because if you don't, eventually you get a reputation as an organization that doesn't reward people properly, and that is basically the end right there. So while it's not
Indeed.
coded in like smart contracts where like payment is locked in escrow and then put through, and while that would be insanely cool, I don't think can happen with the technology yet. There are just like non-technical incentives for us to be honest and legitimate with this.
And I think to kind of add to that, we will be sending out our first batch payment of bounties later this week. So if it's a question of verification there, that's definitely one that you'll be able to see in the near future. And I think we'll probably be posting about it on Discord whenever we do.
Yep. And it'll always be helpful then for new contributors to come in and see all the existing paid transactions that are already done, and see that they're completed and paid for on the blockchain itself. And so that'll inspire trust for them to go ahead and work on new tasks. Actually, on the side note, with regards to escrow, that is something we are working on. It's something that we're working on internally right now. Couple of weeks, maybe a month or so out, if I'm actually launching that. And then, of course, we'll be piloting and testing that further before we make it widely available. But yeah, hopefully in the near future, we will have that option as well.
Yeah, that will be very cool. It's a very interesting possibility. And it also points out like the rapid development of DWork and all these platforms. Like it highlights that all of this is very early. So while DWork puts out new stuff, we'll continue experimenting with it and trying to make the process better on our end for the people who want to contribute. And at the same time, our internal processes are always open for scrutiny and improvement. So if you have an idea on how we can make something better, let us know, and we will at least consider it. And if it actually makes sense, we'll probably do it. Why wouldn't we?
Sounds great. Yeah, happy to be here today. Happy to help. There's still about 10 minutes on the call, I believe. So if anyone has any other questions, I'm happy to take them. If there's any feedback, John, from you or Eric, happy to take that as well and discuss that if you want to continue with that as well.
Hey, no, this is a very smooth demo. It's well put together.
Oh, happy to help. Happy to help. And we can, of course, do more in the future as you are expanding, into more options or more formats, more workflows. If it makes sense to do another version as well.
Mm-hmm. For anyone who wants to learn more about DWork itself, is there anywhere they can go to check you guys out?
Yeah, sure. So we have our Discord. So I'll just go ahead and copy some links. We have it again in the bottom right of our application, always available. You can even go ahead and drop a suggestion if you like, just by clicking the little feedback button. You can also view our documentation there. But let me go ahead and stop my screen share and just add these links in the chat for the call. And then we can go ahead and have people follow up or just follow us. And if they'd like to engage further, happy to do so. Happy to have that as well.
Great. Last call for questions or comments on anything as we get these links coming in. So Tony, we went over this at the beginning of the call. The question is, how did you get the DeSci Labs role? Or I think it's a LabTech role. We will be updating some of the descriptions, I think, to include this, because I don't think I did that. But the basic premise is be active in the community. There's a point system where you can do task point bounties and get 100 task points and get a LabTech role. But those tasks are designed to make you active in the community. So essentially, if you just participate in the community, help out, then you can get the LabTech role. All right. Any other questions? Anything anyone wants to say before we kick Craig out here and stop the recording? All right, great. Well, thanks for the demo. I think this is going to be very, very helpful for a lot of our users because, like I said, not many of them are Web3 native. A lot of them are just getting interested in this tech because of the stuff that we're building and how it's going to make their lives easier. So having them come in and see some pretty smooth demoing on how to get involved and get a little money in the process is going to be very useful.
Awesome. No, yeah, glad to be here. Happy to help. And yeah, feel free to reach out as needed. We'll of course keep the community updated on new features that we have, which can help you as well as help the contributors. So feel free to follow up on that.
Definitely. For everyone else, we've got onboarding call. Oh, I didn't look at the schedule this week. I think it's onboarding call on Wednesdays at 9. Do you have a journal club this week, Eric?
We do not. Actually, we might. Let me talk to Mateo on that. Yeah, I think it's the first Friday of every month. So let me confirm, but I believe that we do.
Okay, so we might let's go with a solid maybe. We might have a journal club on Friday. Onboarding calls are always fun. 9 a.m. on Wednesday. That's Eastern time. And otherwise, we'll just kind of be hanging out after this call for up to an hour during the coffee house. So stick around if you want to chat about this or anything DeSci Labs related. Otherwise, we'll see you at one of those calls or next week at noon on Monday. Do we know what we're talking about next week?
Yeah, the community call for next week is going to be our answer to the question, why Web3? Why does everything need to be on blockchain? Why is it a better system for organizing science? And, how can we use this for the best possible back end of science that we can think of? So I'm excited to hear Chris and Sina's thoughts on that.
Oh, I cannot wait to be devil's advocate for this. That'll be a lot of fun next week.
Yeah,
All right,
looking
guys.
forward to that. It's going to be a lot of fun, guys.
I hate blockchain. We don't need it. Get a database, you lazy bastard. All right, guys. Have a great week. We'll see you around.
See
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Thanks, folks. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Rudy.